Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a good weekend. Back with another installment of Making Amends, and don't have too many topics that I wanted to cover today, but I feel like over the last couple of weeks. I said in my past video, but I was actually traveling, visiting family in New York. Took some time off, and back to work on Monday for me. But it's definitely been really nice to kind of refresh a little bit, reset, and yeah, I kind of want to give a little bit of what's been going on, what I've been noticing in the knife world / community. So we'll jump right in. All right, the first topic that I wanted to cover was something that I'm calling the Mcnees phenomenon. And I would say over the last 6 months, so I've owned four Mcnees, two the 3 inch, two in the 3.5 inch. And I had honestly never even heard of Mcnees until Triple Lot Design did a collaboration with them. Thought it looked like a really cool knife. I ended up scooping up one of those, but found that the 3 inch was just too small for me. And then these, I think it was DLT Trading, dropped quite a few of them in different configurations in Magna Cut, and I didn't end up getting in on the drop originally, but ended up trading, and at the end of it, I got two of them with the thought that I would keep one. And certainly, the hype for those things was through the roof. Everyone was trying to get a hold of them. Everybody was like, this is the best folder I've ever tried. People were kind of losing their minds over them. And I agreed. I was definitely a big fan. I was excited about it. And then I don't know. I just I noticed more and more were dropping, and I kind of got the feeling that it was time to sell mine. And certainly, if I felt like that wasn't the case, that they were still going to be kind of more exclusive knives, I would have held on to my last fastback and Magna Cut that I had. But I also found I wasn't carrying it at all. Like, given the choice, again, as I've said in my past videos, normally I'll carry whatever knives are kind of on the docket to test, and I don't know. I just, like, when I didn't have any knives to test, I wasn't picking it up, and there was still kind of a demand for it. But even that one that I sold has already changed hands. And we're talking, I sold it last week. I sent it out to a guy, and he's trying to sell it now. So I don't really know what that is, but these Mcnees 3.5, like, they're changing hands faster than, like, nobody is sitting on them and keeping them. And it made me ask the question, like, why that is the case. For all intents and purposes, they have really nice action, but as I've said, it's almost like too much. Like, the blade is angry coming out, it just rips out, slams back shut. I think it's kind of like a hype action knife that really is not standing the test of time. And I've also said in past videos, it's ironic to me that people are trying to slow down the action a little bit by putting washers as opposed to bearings in it. And I don't know what it is. Like, other people have had problems with the pocket clip. Now, I never had any problems with the lock bar cutout and the pocket clip tearing up pants or anything like that. But that was another item of concern for people. I also found that the Mcnees writ large, it was more apparent on the smaller 3 inch, but even on the 3.5 inch, like, it just has such a thick spine, and it comes, like, literally the blade, I don't know all the technical terms, but basically where the blade is, like, it just all of a sudden happens. Like, it's super, super thick, and then it's like, oh, put a blade on it. And I know that a lot of people are also sending them to get sharpened by third parties, which I'll cover that in a little bit, because it's another sharpening knives. It's going to be one of my topics for this iteration. But I don't know. I kind of think, like, the Mcnees phenomenon is interesting. It's worth note. I think, like, if you do, like, if it would be a great everyday carry knife, if you have one, you love it, whatever. But if you're kind of on the fence about it, now or last week would have been the time to sell it, because I think that the market's going to be flooded, and from what I've seen, it changes hands so quickly. All four of them that I've sold, I know for a fact they have changed hands within a week. So the Mcnees phenomenon, what's going on? The next topic that I wanted to cover was just the break-in process for Chris Reeve knives. And it's no secret, I've said it in every one of my videos, I do find a lot of satisfaction in the break-in process. Again, it's not like a knife you get that's running on bearings that, you get it just flies out, flies back in, whatever. Like, Chris Reeves kind of make you work for them, but in a really good way. And since I have, or had built out this Sebenza 31 again in Damascus, and then carbon fiber, which again, this is still, I carry this knife every day that I can. Like, I'm absolutely obsessed with this knife. But I'm gonna post a few pictures here while I talk, because it was really cool. Like, I found myself, like, I'll just kind of like sit there working the action, open, close, open, close, open, close, and then I ended up taking it apart, cleaning it. This thing was absolutely filthy, but it was really cool to see kind of like where the washers were wearing, as well as just kind of the gunk and everything that came off this. Like, it was really cool to clean this thing. And now, I mean, the action, it's so hydraulic, so satisfying. I wouldn't say it's still, it's not completely broken in yet, but it's getting there. But I've loved it. I probably have a couple hours now of just flicking this thing, opening it, closing it, and I'm really looking forward to what this knife kind of turns into. And when I know I mentioned it in my last video, I'm not a huge lanyard guy, and the last time I took this apart, I did end up taking the lanyard apart, and I'm happy to say, so I did put a little bit of Loctite on the show side here in the carbon fiber, just because I figured it would probably, I don't know, it would bond better with the carbon fiber than the titanium. But this is not rattling around or spinning. I didn't want to leave that lanyard hole out. I mean, all told, I actually kind of like the blue on the thumb stud, and then the blue back here, and the blue barrel spacer, so it kind of fits the style or look of the knife. But it ended up working fine. Like, it's not rattling around or anything like that, so more to follow, I guess. But I really just can't say enough good things about the break-in process of Chris Reeve knives. Like, I think it's a very rewarding procedure, especially if you don't have too many knives and you can kind of have one knife that you pick up predominantly, which this is the knife for me that I do. It's awesome. Like, it's definitely, it's worth your time. Also, I mean, don't be afraid of, if you see, on the secondary market, users or ones that have kind of been beat up a little bit, those might be the most satisfying ones to own, because someone else has kind of gone through the break-in process with them. So, I mean, these brand new, I know that for a fact with this 31 in Damascus, which is my second or third Chris Reeve that I've owned firsthand, and they're a little challenging at first, but they just get better by the day. By every time you use them, like, they reward you with better action as the, even though they are hand fit, the more those pieces are kind of wearing together, it's like a really nice, like, bolt gun or something like that. Like, I mean, the more you work the action, the smoother it's going to get, and I think that's really cool. It's something that I enjoy about having and collecting knives. The next topic that I wanted to cover were just kind of my newer acquisitions since the last time I did my Making Amends video, and I think certainly me traveling has a lot to do with it, but I've slowed down tremendously. Like, I mean, knives that I was actually thinking about this the other day, I was like, knives that I would kind of jump on in the secondary, like, oh, I'll just give this a try, I'll do whatever. Like, I've slowed down a lot, and I think that is in some way in part to, you can blame this knife right here, just because I like carrying it, and then I'm like, oh, if I'm carrying anything else, it's actually taking away from me breaking that thing in. But I did end up picking up, and I just did a quick overview of it, but a CRK Zahn. This is in S45VN, and I really do like it. I have not had the bandwidth or time since I got it. I got it a day before I went to New York on vacation. I haven't had a chance to take this one apart yet, but I mean, I will. The action's pretty good on it. I got a killer deal. I do miss, like, again, this is the second Zahn that I've owned. I did miss having kind of their hard use folder, but I can't foot stomp it enough. One of the big takeaways was just the fact that, like, I mean, this is just an overbuilt Chris Reeve. So a Chris Reeve for hard use, it's not inherently, larger than a 31 or anything like that. It's just overbuilt so it can take more of a beating. So I think that that's kind of worth noting. It was a common misconception that I guess I always knew, but I never thought about it. So my next new acquisition that I got was this Arcona. So this is going to be an Ivan B design knife. It's all in titanium. It's made out of M390. They only made 200 of these, and I waited a long time to get this one. I just saw it. I think it was about $300, and I was like, oh, this is cool. There's only 200 of them. It's kind of exclusive. The neat thing about this is, so this is going to be my second, front flipper only knife, but the action is really smooth. And as far as bearings go, like, I love the fact that it isn't super slam shutty. I would say, like, it's still kind of controlled, and you can tell the designer of this. So Ivan B is a knife guy. It came with all sorts of extra parts, back spacers, whatever. Like, the pivot collar. Like, you can change out everything on this, but I really do like this, and I've enjoyed it. The kind of unique thing about this, and I'll post a picture right here. So this is going to be an inner frame lock, which is a really cool design. I think this knife in general just looks really futuristic, a little bit micro techy in a way. Again, maybe it's just that blue pivot collar, but I think there's even even more than that. But it's just a very like futuristic looking knife, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing it. I did carry this all day yesterday. I was doing a project outside with my buddy, and we had to slay a few boxes, but it worked really well. So really happy with this one, and yeah, can't wait to review it. All right. The next item that I wanted to mention, so although it's not a new knife acquisition, I did end up getting, and I sent one to my buddy Devin as well, but Prometheus Design Works, or PDW, again, one of the founders of Triple Out Design. He left Triple Out Design on kind of like bad terms, but he has kind of a rival company called Prometheus Design Works. That's what the logo looks like, but I ended up picking up one of this is again Cordura nylon bag, but I ended up picking up one of these bags just to hold the knives that I'm testing out during the week, and it is really cool. I think the pouch itself was like $29, and you have to buy these inserts, which are $10 a piece, but it's really awesome for holding knives, whether you're traveling or kind of like me. Like, I'll keep this in my bedstand table for the knives that I'm carrying that week, just to get them out of the way. But this has been really cool, so definitely check out Prometheus Design Works if you're looking for kind of a smart knife storage option. I think it's really great. The last thing I wanted to cover as far as acquisitions go, so as I've said, I've kind of slowed down with my knife purchasing. I just really haven't seen too many things that have blown my skirt up, to be honest with you, but I'm always after CRKs or Striders, things like that, kind of more timeless things that I know that I'll like. I guess I would just say that I haven't been taking many chances on new knives, this Arcona notwithstanding, but again, this knife, I put the order in a very long time ago, and it finally came in. So I don't really count that one because it's not current that I acquired that one. It just ended up showing up recently. I will say though, like, as far as knives that I'm kind of on the hunt for, I would love to get a Chris Reeve, so a large Sabenza 31, but with carbon fiber inlays. So not an entire carbon fiber show side, but they did do a limited run of carbon fiber inlays, and it might even, actually, I think it was a Sabenza 21, so they're kind of hard to come by, but I don't know. I really want to track one of those down, and then, I don't know. For a while, I thought I wanted to get another Sabenza 31, but get like a wood inlaid one, but I don't think that I'm going to do that just because it would take away from me carrying my 31 that I kind of screwed together. So I don't want to take away from my carrying of that knife, but I don't know. That's kind of really all that I'm looking for right now. There isn't anything that really tickles my fancy, and I feel like I've learned to keep scrolling instead of being like, oh, I need to check this knife out. But that said, if anyone has any knives that you want to let me borrow or test out, try, review, I'm all ears. I still love reviewing knives. I'm just a little bit hesitant to own more right now unless they really speak to me. So it is what it is. All right, the next topic that I wanted to cover, and to be honest with you, I've kind of been stewing over this one for a while, but knife sharpening. As long as I've owned knives, I've definitely sharpened them. I've bought crappy Walmart like Winchester knives to practice sharpening on. I've done everything from free stones to Lansky to Smith stones, whatever. I haven't really gotten into, well, first of all, like the whole like work sharp, like electric sharpeners. I've never touched those. I I kind of thought that I'd have it by now, but I was interested in like the Wicked Edge system. I don't know. I know that that's a whole thing, and I don't really like to half-ass things. So I'm like, man, if I got that, I'd have to sit down and spend a lot of hours, kind of perfecting that craft before I tested it out on a really nice knife. And I just have not had the time, to be honest with you. But I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll get into that. Like, Lord knows, as soon as I started doing long-range shooting, I immediately got got a lab scale, got a really nice redding press. Like, I really got into reloading ammunition. I don't know. I have that problem though. Whenever I'm into something a little bit, it turns into kind of being all consuming, and I'm just not there yet. But that being said, like, I still definitely, and I'll post a picture right here, I have that Smith's sharpening system, and I do, like, I have a set of Wusthof chef knives, use those in the kitchen all the time. I have no problem sharpening those. I'm good at sharpening those, but I don't know. Like, I just I'm on the fence, and I don't want to make a mistake with some of the higher end knives that I have. And from what I've seen, like, I do know, for instance, like Chris Reeve or Strider, a lot of American made companies do provide spa services, but the only kind of downside is just the time, right? Like, realizing, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that I have like unrealistic expectations, but the last guy that I heard that sent a Strider in to get sharpened or got spa service, which again, it's completely functional and sharpening spa services. They're not, fixing the Tiger Strike finish or taking out snail trails or anything like that. He waited between I think it was 4 or 5 months to get his knife back, and I thought that's a long time to be without your knife. And similarly, like, even Shugorov's, like, that's another one where, like, if you need any servicing done, sharpening, whatever, that has to go back to Russia, and they fly it over. So there's just a very like lengthy process in there. So what's your other option then? There are a ton of self-described, and certainly some are legit and better than others, but kind of third-party sharpeners that do things. But from what I've seen, and like, it might just be my own feelings or observations, but when you have somebody else sharpen your knife, or you yourself sharpen a knife, it does kind of take away from the value of the knife. And I've seen some like hack jobs on some really nice knives, and that makes me really hesitant. Even if I was like a self-described pro at sharpening things, it would still, like, there's very few knives that I'm like, oh, I would never sell this, whatever. I don't know. I would be a little bit hesitant to be like, oh yeah, and like, either I sharpened this in my basement, or I sent it away to, Big Red and he sharpened it. Like, I don't know if that's like a good look, to be honest with you. And like, I don't know. I like I said, I've seen several people mess up really nice knives, and so it got me thinking. I mean, certainly knives are made to be used, they're gonna get dull, but what are people doing? Like, are you just waiting the entire whatever for spa services? Like Chris Reeve, I think it's like 6 to 12 weeks, which is just a huge range as well, realizing the volume that they deal with. Or sending it to Big Red on Everyday Blades or something to handle it for you, which doesn't do, if anything, it takes away from the value, I think. So I don't know. I just I wanted to talk about that a little bit, just because it's not like lost on me, it's not that I don't think that I could do a good job sharpening my knives that I have, like my nicer knives, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't really want to do it, so I need to think of something. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on that issue, as it were. How do you sharpen knives? Let me know. All right, the last topic that I wanted to cover, and it's just kind of a mini plug. So again, have that knife group on Facebook going. So only blades greater than $250. We've had quite a few new members join, which has been really cool. We're definitely over 200 at this point, but I think it's turning into a really cool community. And one of the things that we did last week, we ended up raffling, or as they call it on Facebook, because it'll trip their algorithm or whatever, and they'll delete it if you say raffle. But we did a waffle or a raffle for a TRM Atom. So it worked out pretty well. We took a vote before, you know, when people want to see more spots, less money, or less spots, more money. And we ended up going with 10 spots at $25 each. And it was pretty cool. Like one of the guys won the TRM Atom. I sent it out on Saturday, so you should be getting it this week. But you know, I think that that's going to be a really cool thing for people to experience. And you know, I think as long as people have options and we're kind of careful about who's actually running these waffles, like I kind of have an inner circle of people that I trust. And yeah, I think it'll be a cool way for people to get higher end blades in their hands for less money. Like that dude won a TRM Atom for $25. Like that's pretty cool. So with that, I'm gonna wrap up making amends. You know, not much meat on these bones as far as this video goes, but yeah, just kind of wanted to touch base. I've gotten you know, a couple new subscribers as well, so you know, welcome. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you have not yet, I'd really appreciate you subscribing down below. Again, it helps me sell this to my wife to let me do these videos. So with that, hope everybody has a great week, and we will see you next time.